Hello there, my name's Richard from Silent Peak and welcome to this Sharpen AI tutorial in which I will show you one of the fastest ways to fix your blurry pictures. So we're going to begin this tutorial by clicking on Browse Image and finding the file that we wish to sharpen. In this case it's a raw file and it's a picture of a New Zealand Kia. Now whenever you load an image into Sharpen AI, it will automatically sharpen it for you. The settings it uses will either be automatic, which it is in this case. Alternatively, it will use the settings that you last applied when using Sharpen AI. Now for this image, the automatic mode has applied a sharpen model of standard and already we're leagues ahead of the out of camera image. To compare the sharpened image with your original out of camera image, we can click on this original toggle at the top of the screen and sort of bounce between the two different versions. We can head over to the split view and sort of pan our way left to right, comparing the image. And alternatively, we can go to our side-by-side view comparison with our original image here on the left and our sharpened image on the right. Now, as hopefully you can see from where you're sitting, the difference is huge and we could quite easily export this image and get on with the rest of our day. However, for absolute best results, it is worth doing a little tinkering of your own. So what we're going to do is head back to the single view and I am going to switch Sharpen AI off its automatic mode and select my own sharpening model. Now there's plenty to choose from. There's standard, there's free versions of motion blur, free versions of out of focus and free versions of too soft. So 10 different Sharpening AI models altogether. So to change, you just simply click on one. Now every time you change your AI model, Topaz Sharpen AI will take a moment to re-render the image. And already I think I can say I prefer the standard. So again, we can just click onto the next one and see what we think. Now, as you might have already noticed, this is a bit of a slow process and there is a much better way of doing it. So what we're going to do is if we go up to the top here, we can click on this four-way comparison view. This gives you an opportunity to compare 4 different AI models simultaneously. So in this case, it's chosen 4 AI models for us. So we've got out of focus, very blurry, too soft, very blurry, motion blur normal, and motion blur very blurry. So we just give that chance to finish rendering. And already we've got 4 quite different results, which for me, motion blur very blurry comes out top for this particular photo. If the AI model isn't on, that you want to try isn't on this particular screen, we can simply select one of the windows, click on the AI model that we want, and that AI model will render and appear. Now at the moment, it's a race between standard and motion blur. However, I prefer motion blur very blurry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click onto that. That selects that particular AI model and then return to the single view so I get the biggest sort of image possible. Now once again, I would like to compare this image with the original. So I can click onto here and hopefully you don't need me to tell you, but the difference is night and day. It's a truly vastly improved image. Now we're not quite done yet. We can tinker a little bit more. So here we have the model parameters. Now for motion blur very blurry, we have 2 separate parameters. We have remove blur and noise suppression, and adjusting these typically on automatic, but if you grab one of these sliders, the automatic mode will disable and you can sort of change these settings to taste. Now, as you can see, the further right we get on remove blur, the sharper the image comes, to the point where perhaps the image is starting to look a little bit artificial. And noise suppression is exactly that. If the sharpening process is producing noise, we're able to sort of move this slider and get rid of that noise. It isn't as effective as dedicated noise reduction, so if that's what you're after, I recommend Topaz Denoise AI and ON1's No Noise AI. You can't go wrong with either. They're both fantastic and cost the same as each other. So there you go. I've altered my own AI model. I've removed the automatic parameters and adjusted them a little bit. And I am now pretty happy with this image. As you can see, that's the original out of camera image. And that is our Sharpen AI version. And it's very impressive. And now I can export this image as a JPEG, a TIFF, a DNG, and print it and do whatever I need to do with it. However, what if instead of applying sharpening to the entire image, what if you only wanted to apply sharpening to select areas of the image? Well, you can do that if you want to. Down here, just at the bottom next to these smiley faces, is Selective Sharpening mode. Now by default, this red overlay shows the areas which the image is being sharpened. In other words, it shows the whole lot, pretty much. Now, the best place to start for selective sharpening is the automatic modes. We have auto, subject, people, portrait, skylines and landscapes, and custom. If we click on subjects, Sharpen AI will look at the photograph and automatically mask what it thinks is the sort of focus point of the photo, which is the bird. And as you can see, it has done a really good job of masking the bird. If it's not perfect, we can sort of remove the mask. So we've got our brush here. If we select it to edge aware, it will sort of stay within the lines as you brush, allowing you to be a bit more sloppy with your technique. And what we can do is simply subtract the mask by brushing in the appropriate places, as you can see. Now, I'm being a bit messy here, so please forgive me. And when we click apply, the sharpening will still occur, but only to the areas highlighted in red here. Now, there's other things we can do. So for example, if the auto masking isn't working for you, we can sort of clear the mask. We can brush on our mask. We can increase the size of the brush, make it nice and quick. And as I say, the edge aware system means that no matter how sloppy I get, it does stay in the lines pretty well. And there you go. You can see how the red sort of regressed after I released the mouse button. Alternatively, let's say if you were actually looking to mask the entire photo except for a small part of it. Say we want to sharpen the entire bird, but not the eye. I've got no idea why we would want to do that, but just for the sake of example, what we can do is we can adjust the brush size. So let's just mask the eye there. And then what we can do is invert the mask, which effectively reverses our selection and sharpens everything but the area that I selected. When I'm finished with my sort of brushing and masking, I click apply, and then what you'll see is a sharpening of every area that I masked. And if we look back at the bird here, you can see that the head will be sharp, but not the eye, which remains as it was in the out of camera image. Anyway, that is Sharpen AI, and that concludes our tutorial. So we've seen two different ways of sharpening your image, either sharpening your entire image or using masking to selectively sharpen particular areas of your photo. If you look in the description below, there's a free trial for Sharpen AI. It's an unlimited trial. You can use it for as long as you like, and you do not need to register your credit card. However, whenever you export a sharpened image, it will be watermarked until you cough up the cash. And if you are thinking of coughing up the cash and buying Sharpen AI, please note there's a promo code below. If you click on the link and use the promo code, you can save 15% on whatever bill you have at your checkout. Anyway, I really hope this Sharpen AI tutorial was useful for you. My name's Richard from Silent Peak, and I wish you the best of days. Goodbye.